Hello students and welcome to the lecture. So students, as we know that we are covering the union and its territories basically, and you could say that these are the topics we have scheduled for the discussion under this particular series, like the uh, introduction part, like the union of states, like the parliament's power, like the exchange of territories, like the evolution of states and the union territory. All right, and so far, basically, we had completed the introduction part, union of states and the parliament's power. And what we are going to see, we are going to see the exchange of territories and the evolution of states and the union. All right. So I hope that you have revised the previous lectures in the well enough manner before you have come for this lecture. Because so many times I have told you that is for your own benefit. So if you are not doing this thing, then that will be a harmful for you from the examination point of view. So we will start from where we had left. All right. So basically, we had seen about the parliament's power to recognize the states. Now let's move forward. Now, what we are going to see the exchange of territories with the Bangladesh. All right. So basically, so far we have exchanged the territories of India with the Bangladesh, and that was done by 100 Constitutional Amendment Act 2015. Why? Because we know in the previous lecture also we had discussed that by the 1960 Beirubari case, the Supreme Court had ruled out that the power of transferring the Indian state to the foreign state is required to be implemented by the power of constitutional amendment. So basically, when we exchange the territories with Bangladesh, it means that when we have to secede some territories to the Bangladesh, so that's why we have to pass the 100 Constitutional Amendment Act 2015. So that was enacted to give effect to the acquiring of certain territories by India and transfer of certain other territories to the Bangladesh in pursuance of agreement, and its protocol entered into the government of India and the Bangladesh. Remember that was from the agreement. Okay. Under this deal, India transferred how many enclaves? India transferred 111 enclaves to the Bangladesh, while the Bangladesh transferred 51 enclaves to the India. Okay, that's why it is called as an exchange, not a single transfer. Because when we had to transfer the 111 enclaves, we received 51 enclaves. In addition, the deal also involved the transfer of adverse position and the demarcation of a 6.1 kilometer undemarcated border stretch. Okay, adverse position means like basically there was a you can say the undemarcated border, which means that the boundaries between the borders were not clearly defined. So basically, what happened? That some of our men go there and occupied some territory. Some of their men came here and occupied our territory. All right. So when basically we formulated the 100 Constitutional Amendment Act 2015. All right. So basically, our main focus on two things. First, exchange of the you can say the enclaves, and the second is to revoke that adverse possession and demarcated the 6.1 kilometer and demarcated border stretch so that these things could be controlled in the future. For these three purposes, amendment modified the provisions relating to the territories of four states. And what were these four states? Basically, the states were Assam, West Bengal, Meghalaya, and Tripura in the first schedule of the constitution. Why? Because that constituted a union and its territories are basic incidents. All right. So when we did the exchange with the Bangladesh, please remember the states name, that boundaries of which states were affected. Assam, West Bengal, Meghalaya, and the Tripura. Got it? So basically, what was the background? We had seen what was the amendment, okay, what happened, but what was the background behind this amendment? So basically, when we talk about this amendment, particular or today's scenario, so basically, India and Bangladesh, they both have a common land boundary, which is approximately 4,096 kilometers long. All right, 4,096 kilometers long. The India and the East Pakistan land boundary was determined as a part of Radcliffe Accord of 1947. So, what is the meaning of East Pakistan? What is this? So, let me remind you that basically, if we talk about India as a country, all right, okay, India as a country, all right. So, we know that on the western side, there is a country which we call as Pakistan, right? And on the eastern side, there is a country which we call as a Bangladesh. Okay. So what happened? That when we took independence in 1947 from the British Empire. So basically, India was bifurcated into two countries. The first one is the country called India. Second one is the country called Pakistan. All right. And the Pakistan were two: West Pakistan. Another one is East Pakistan. Okay. So the name of Bangladesh, or you can say the older or the initial name of the Bangladesh, was the East Pakistan. All right. So both of these countries were created into the year of 1947, and both of the division of the Pakistan were also created on the same time. Whereas the East Pakistan or the Bangladesh was created in the year of 1971. Okay. So that is the picture. All right. So when in 1947 the India got independence, so there was a Radcliffe Award. There was a Radcliffe Award, okay, which demarcated this boundary, this one and this one. It means Western and the Eastern Pakistan boundary with the India. But there were so many disputed. Okay, so basically the initial dispute was arised through the Radcliffe Award of 1947, and the Eastern Pakistan boundary, okay, which nowadays we call as a Bangladesh. Okay, so the Eastern Pakistan boundary with India is about 4,096 kilometers long. All right, dispute arose out of some provision in the Radcliffe Award, which was sought to be resolved through the Bagay Award of 1950. All right, so whatsoever this dispute, you can say arises because of the Radcliffe Award of 1947. The governments of both the newly formed countries were trying to resolve this through the Bagay Award of 1950. But another effort was made to settle the dispute by the Nehru-Noon Agreement of 1958. Okay. However, the issue relating to the division of Berubari Union was challenged before the Supreme Court. To comply with the opinion rendered by the Supreme Court, the Constitution Ninth Amendment Act 1960 was passed by the Parliament. All right. So basically, the government was looking to resolve this issue. All right, which had been arises in 1947, then was tried to be resolved by the Baghe Award of 1950 and Noon Nehru Agreement of 1958. But the conditions were not in the favor. All right, and even in the 1969 of the Berubari Union case, all right, the Supreme Court said that the amendment is necessary. So that's why this Parliament had passed the 19th Constitutional Amendment Act of 1960. Due to the continuous litigation and other political developments at that time, the Constitution Ninth Amendment Act 1960 could not be notified in respect of territories in former East Pakistan, presently Bangladesh. All right. So basically, Berubari, which used to be in the you can say West Bengal, that was given to the Bangladesh. But the other disputes which we had seen, like 11 enclaves and all right, this dispute could not be resolved by the Ninth Amendment Act 1960 because there were so many political developments and legislation. All right. Thereafter, that was a time of May 16, 1974. Remember, 16th May 1974, when the agreement between the India and Bangladesh concerning the demarcation of the land boundary and related matters was signed between both the countries to find a solution to the complex nature of the border demarcation war. Why it was saying that there was a complex nature? So basically, if we talk about the division of India and Pakistan, all right. So basically, the boundaries were set by the Radcliffe Award 1947. Okay. Radcliffe was the British officer who was appointed. He was basically an advocate. All right. And he was avoided to divide the India and Pakistan. And basically, that was the person who is, you can say, not so much aware about the India and its boundaries and all. All right. So when he made the division in the West Bengal, all right. So basically, the Bengal, which used to be a single area, is got divided into the two new areas. West Bengal, East Pakistan. All right. The West Bengal is in India. East Pakistan was a part of Pakistan. All right. But the area got divided. But what happened? That there were so many common villages, all right, ethnic groups, tribal things, and all these got also misplaced. All right. And due to this, there was a condition of mixing up both on the political or on the cultural basis. All right. So that was the thing. So to tackle this situation, basically on this state, both the government of India and Bangladesh signed a agreement. Okay, and they agreed that they both will try to find the solution to solve the complex border demarcation. Why? Because as I've told you that both the areas were having the same area. So this agreement was not ratified as it involved inter area transfer of territories which require a constitutional amendment. Okay. In this connection, it was also required to identify the precise area on the grounds which would be transferred. So the first agreement was not ratified. Why? Because it required the constitutional amendment. Because we are going to see the area of a country to another country. All right. Thereafter, it was required to identify the precise area on the ground which would be transferred. Because when we talk about the boundaries, then the boundaries and the borders have been set up by the human, not by the nature. All right. So naturally, there is no line which could define that is a Bangladesh, that is a India. All right. So that was the responsibility of the government to find the precise area, to find, or as you can say, identify the precise area on the ground which would be transferred to the Bangladesh. Subsequently, the issues relating to the demarcation of undemarcated boundary, the territories in advanced position, and exchange of enclaves were identified and resolved by a signing protocol on 6th September 2011. So basically, after 1974, that took too many time. All right, so that you could say the idea of demarcated boundary, all right, and the territories which having the adverse position and the enclaves which could be exchanged, all these areas could be identified and resolved by signing the protocol on September 6, 2011. All right. So basically, which forms an integral part of land boundary agreement between India and Bangladesh 1974. The protocol was prepared with support and concurrence of the concerned state governments of Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, and the West Bengal. Why? Because these are the states which having the border touching with the Bangladesh. All right. So that is the things. Thereafter, another thing what we have the integration of princely states. Integration of princely state. At the time of independence, India comprised two categories of political units, which we namely called as the British provinces under the direct rule of British government and the princely states under the rule of native princes but subject to the paramountcy of British crown. All right. So you could say whenever we talk about the British India, so the British India having the two main divisions. That the first area is the British directly ruled territories. All right. That is the first area. Another area is the princely states which having rule by the ruler of native dynasty, but paramountcy of the crown. It means that these states are basically ruling by the king or queen, but the king or queen having the paramountcy of the British crown. All right. So basically, the Indian territories on the time of independence were divided into these two areas. All right. The Indian Independence Act 1940 or 1947 basically created the two independent and the separate dominance of India and Pakistan. Gave three options to the princely states who like first joining the India, second joining the Pakistan, or remaining the independent. All right. So we know that the Indian Independence Act 1947 was the one which you can say created the two separate dominance of India and Pakistan, or also we called it as a separation. All right. And basically, the princely states, which were not directly a part of British government, they provided three options that whether they could join the India, Pakistan, or remaining independent. Of the 552 princely states, which are situated within the geographical boundaries of newly created India, 549 joined India, and the remaining three, like the states of Hyderabad, Junagadh, and Kashmir, these states refused to join India. All right. So basically, we could say when India got independence, there were total 552 princely states. All right. But out of these, 549 joined India, and the remaining three, like the Hyderabad, Junagadh, and Kashmir, they refused to join India. However, in course of time, they were also integrated with India. All right. Like the Hyderabad. The Hyderabad was merged by the police action, Junagadh by the means of referendum, and Kashmir by the instrument of association. All right. So these are the three reasons. So remember, which three states refused to join India? Always remember the name. The first is state of Hyderabad. Second is Junagadh. Third is, what is the third state? Third state is the Kashmir. All right. Hyderabad was merged in India by the police action. Junagadh was organized the referendum and the public voting, and the Kashmir by the instrument of secession. Sorry, secession. By the instrument of accession. All right. So please remember these details. In 1950, the Constitution contained a fourfold classification of state and territories of India: Union, Part A, Part B, Part C, and Part D territory. So basically, you could say, like whatsoever area we have on that time, still we have the area that of this. All right, that particular area was divided into the three parts. Like sorry, fourth part, like the Part A contains some states, Part B contains some another areas of the state, Part C contains some other areas or state, Part D contains some other areas and territory. So in all, they number 20. It means that in all the category, they are 29 states. Okay? Because on that time, these were small kingdoms, not the state in the proper sense. Except those which were established by the Britishers because they had established them for their own benefit. A state comprised 9 Eastwhile governor provisions of British India. Alright? These were the part of state A. So remember, state A comprises the 9 Eastwhile governor provisions of the British India. All right. Part B consists of 9 Eastwhile princely state with legislatures. All right. Thereafter, the Part C consisted of Eastwhile chief commissioner provisions of British India and some of the princely states. All right. These Part C states, all in 10 in number, all right, was centrally administered. The Andaman Nicobar Islands were kept as solitary party territory. So that was the division. All right. So remember that these were divided into the four parts: part A, part B, part C, and part D. All right. Part A, states having the Governor General system. Part B, states having the Chief Ministers. Part C, having the system of central administration. All right. And the part D, solely having the Andaman and Nicobar. All right. So that is the scenario. Part A, Governor General. Part B, Chief Minister. Part C, Central Administrator. And Part D as an Andaman and Nicobar. All right. So these were the division and the time of the independence. Okay. And basically we are required to, you could say, evolve and reorganize the state of that time. All right. Evolve and reorganize the state. And for this, there were various committees. Okay. There were so many, you can say, discussion happened. And on the basis of this, the entire states which we see today have been organized or reorganized basically or evolved also. All right. So these are the things and tricks. So students, basically in this lecture we have covered till here. In the next lecture we will start from here. Till then, just revise all the facts and figures which we have discussed in this lecture. Be ready for the another lecture. With this note, let's end this lecture, and what we say thank you.